Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
And a good Saturday morning here on the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana. From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, we're so glad you've joined us. Week 9 is in the books, the end of the regular season. I'm here with sports analyst Chris McGowan. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Not too bad. Sounded like you had a little brain freeze there for a second. Forget what you were going to say there or what?
I did. Well, I was supposed to have the highlights up, and I forgot to do that. So we'll get those highlights here in a second.
We were too busy this morning talking Van Halen.
Yeah, we were getting ready. I've got our songs ready for the outros. We look around our area schools, and man, a lot happened last night. And we got to start with the first and foremost, the Knox Redskins. They go undefeated for the first time in their school history, 9-0. My goodness, congratulations to the Knox Redskins. Big-time win over Caston, 50-0. Sealed the deal. They are the outright Hoosier North Athletic Conference champs this morning, Chris.
Yeah, in their last year in the conference. First time they've won the conference in their last year. So
what a way to go out.
Yeah, they're moving on to bigger pastures.
Also coming out of that game, athletic director Neil Minix made sure to let me know that was head coach Russ Radtke's 400th career win. I mean, 400 wins, Chris?
Well, yeah. I mean, 47 years is a long time.
So not only
I'm not saying he accomplished that because of how long he's been doing it, but football's not like basketball where in high school basketball you're playing 20 to 22, right, 23 games a season. Football, you may get 10 at the most, or at the least. Right. To 400 wins, that's pretty impressive.
So big-time news coming out for the Knox Redskins, undefeated season, first time in school history, and then Russ Radtke, his 400th career win. What a night to do it on the road at Caston. They take on Lakeland next week for the first round of sectionals at Lakeland, so a little bit of a drive there. But the Knox Redskins are 9-0 to Redskin Nation. Congratulations. What a big-time win it was for you guys. You better enjoy it. We look across the way here at Stark County and see the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays buttoning things up here in Week 9 against the Pioneer Panthers on the road, 33-12. Athletic Director Michael Sharkozy told me that was the first time, to his knowledge, that the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays have ever won at Royal Center against the Pioneer Panthers on the football field.
Yeah, that is the first time. I tell you what, Pioneer in the last 26 years, I think in the state of Indiana, over the past 26 years, they have the most wins, highest winning percentage, most wins in history of any program in the state over the past 26 years.
Wow.
So it's a rich history, pride, tradition. A lot of good football been played down at Royal Center for a long time.
Yeah, and then the Blue Jays turn around and they're hosting Pioneer for the first round of sectionals. A very interesting situation there. We are going to be there for that game. We're going to be broadcasting live from North Judson-San Pierre as they host the Pioneer Panthers for round 1 sectional action. The Blue Jays finish off their 2023 season at 5-4 on the year. The Winamac Warriors' tough loss at home last night against Triton, 35-6. They finish off their season at 3-6. They will be on the road to see Lafayette Central Catholic again for the second time in a row. They faced them in round 1, I think, last year for sectionals, or if not round 1, it was in the sectionals. So interesting draw there for the Winamac Warriors. We'll talk with head coach Josh Burgess here at the bottom of this hour. The Culver Cavaliers, it's just been a tough year for them. They unfortunately lost on the road against LaVille last night, 52-0. We've talked about it before. Very young team, a lot of young talent. Unfortunately, weren't able to get a win this season. They see South Central next week at South Central, so that'll be the second time they travel to Union Mills this season. The South Central Satellites, speaking of them, traveled to Whiting last night. Tough loss, 32-8. Of course, we've talked about the Satellites. They're without Aaron Hogan due to concussion protocol. Also, they're without their starting quarterback, Zach Hanshar. It's just tough sledding right now for the Satellites. And then finally, the West Central Trojans. Man, it went down to the wire last night. The monsoon we were in last night, the rain was was really coming down hard last night at Francisville. The final was 20-18 as North White beat the West Central Trojans and became the Midwest Conference champions. The Trojans finish off their 2023 season at 7-2, and they travel to Taylor this coming week. The Taylor Titans, correct? I think so. For the first round of sectionals, and we've got head coach of the West Central Trojans, Marc on the line. Good morning, Coach. Appreciate your time. I know things didn't go the way you'd hoped last night, but hey, there was a lot of exciting plays at the West Central Trojans, and we're going to hear them throughout this broadcast. They showed a lot of toughness last night. I know you can take some positives away moving forward into sectionals, but overall, give us your opinion of last night's matchup.
Well, good morning. As you said, there's a lot of good things that did happen last night. Unfortunately, it's a lot like the Winamac game a couple of weeks ago. We started off really slow. First quarter was very defensively. Then the second quarter, both those weeks, we gave up 14 points and just kind of hit a lull for a moment. Then halftime, we came out and both games played really well. And last night was the exact same way. Their first drive, they took it down the field, and it was a long drive. I think it ended up taking probably 7, close to 8 minutes off the clock, but we stopped them inside the 5, and then we started moving the ball out, and then it was penalties, 2 big ones that they were throwing on us, and for false starts, and one of them was definitely a false start. The other one, highly questionable, but we punted. North White had good field position then. We didn't have very good punt on it, so they got the ball at midfield, and we stopped them as they tried to drive down into that second quarter. And then we started having some issues. We had a fumble in there. We had there was a fumbled snap. We had a punt that we had an advantage on to run a fake on it, but we didn't block it up well enough, and so we gave them really good field position on 2 drives there in the second quarter, and they ended up capitalizing, and they took a 14-0 lead in to halftime there. And we talked to the guys at halftime that really we have stopped ourselves. It wasn't like both of our drives that we had going, we got penalties, and that killed us. So we got to clean things up on our end, and we should be fine. And we got the ball to start the second half and went right down the field and scored and made it 14-6. And we got another stop, and we were able to again keep driving down the field. Unfortunately, I think we stalled out a drive there as well in the third quarter. And then going into the fourth quarter, we scored quickly and made it 14-12, and we're right there in it. And defensively in the second half, we played tremendously, I thought. Total for the second half, we had them down for 50 total yards in that second half, and negative 13 rushing. After in the first half, they ran for over 100, and I think it was about 130 in the first half, 140 in that first half. But in that fourth quarter, and they're really one play of the entire second half they had, we changed our defense to try to limit that run, because that was that's basically in the first half all they did. I don't know if they threw a pass in that first half. So we changed up our defense, went to more of a 5-4 look, and changed some personnel in there because we needed to stop the run. And we, again, held them to negative 13 yards rushing in the second half. So we did it. We did what we were supposed to, but unfortunately we gave up a pass. We didn't get our coverage communicated across, and there was one play they hit for 63 yards and a touchdown, and right after we had scored, make it 14-12. So they went up 20-12.
Yeah.
Our kids kept fighting. They played hard, and we were able to, with about 2 minutes to go, we got in the end zone and made it 20-18, and then we just couldn't get that 2-point conversion. And it's unfortunate because we played a really hard game, especially that second half. We outscored them 18-6. If we would have came out executing that first half like that, I believe we should have won pretty comfortably. But those are things we've got to learn from, and we can't ease into anything. We got to be ready to go from the start. But again, our kids, I thought, played tremendously. We had a lot of great efforts offensively. Linemen were doing a good job staying on blocks. Total yards wise, in the conditions that we had and the type of offense we run, We only had one fumble from our actual plays. We did have fumbled snaps. We had two technical fumbles there and turnovers, but for running option football, like that's we'll take that. There were a couple other times the ball was on the ground, but we were able to recover it. But offensively, we had 270 yards for the night, and considering again the conditions like that, we'll take that. We outgained them by almost 100 yards. So a lot of good positives. Our kids, they kept fighting, and they're hurt. Coaches were hurt because we wanted that one. So 2 of the last 3 weeks, their last 2 games at home, we've had some heartbreak there. So we've got to make sure we have to regroup as we get through the end of this weekend and get ready for sectional now.
And, the one thing that, we'll talk about it here. Marlatt breaks up. It looked like on a midline there. He kept it, and he breaks it for about, 65 yards.
It was a huge play.
And, all of a sudden, everybody's celebrating, and you look back, and there's laundry on the field. A hold has come back from a holding, for a holding call. But your kids, I thought, at that moment when that happens, it's pretty easy just to get deflated and to hang your heads and all that. But like you said, your kids showed some resiliency. They bounced back. They were able to give themselves a chance to put the game into overtime. So you can't really question their heart. That's for sure. Because that penalty was huge.
Gosh.
And I don't, like I said, I'm probably getting a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, boisterous with my opinions here, but it seems like every time there was a big call, it always came from the one side of the field. Just saying.
It sure did, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know that well.
Just saying.
Yeah, the person they threw that flag on that play was on our side of the field as well. So that one was a pretty interesting one, how that guy threw that.
Yeah, I was wondering because I saw Christian Hughes throw his hands up like I wasn't. Like, you could see him. Grant, he was like he was looking at it like I wasn't even near the play. Yeah. I was on the other side of the field. You could see it.
He wasn't, and there was also an official right next to him too that didn't throw a flag. So yeah. But.
You got to pick up. But your kids, I tell you what, the point there though. Yeah, that was a tough call, but your kids, they bounced back from it. They didn't let it fester into something that could have gone majorly wrong.
Yes, and officials, they have a hard job.
Exactly.
I get that, but it was unfortunate with some of the things that were called last night. But yes, as he's mentioned, the kids they played hard, and we've done that all this year. Last year, like we've had kids that have just we've gotten after it, and that's what we've been trying to get them to understand, that it's no matter what the situation is, keep getting after it. One of the things we've touched on last year and this year as well is the hardest person to beat is the person who never quits.
Right.
So that's one of the things we try to keep getting on our guys to do is just don't quit, keep fighting, keep coming back after it, and good things will happen. And we were close. We almost were able to do it last night.
Yes.
All right. So everybody starts now 0-0. What do you know about Taylor?
Not a whole lot. We played them last year in the sectionals, round 2. They've got the same coach, so we're going to look at that film to see. Hopefully, they're doing some of the same thing. We haven't gotten film yet from them, so not a whole lot of information there. I've heard that they've got some athletic guys on the perimeter, but maybe up front they're not as maybe not as maybe as strong. So again, until we watch film, it's kind of a guessing game. But looking at their record and who they played, I think they've got one win so far, and that was only that was against Fort Wayne Blackhawk, who it's their first year playing 11-man football. So we'll have to look at it, and hopefully we get film here soon. We can start looking and breaking things down. But not a whole lot. We're going to try to again look at last year, see if they're running kind of the same stuff, and go from there.
Coach, I got to say, the last few weeks I know have been tough. You said it's been a heartbreak for you, but when you face adversity like this, I can only imagine it just fires your team up that much more. Coming off of a tough loss like this, the Midwest Conference Championship on the line, and coming up short, I can only imagine the seniors on that team, they're ready to go probably for next Friday night now.
Well, we need to be, because at this point it's win or go home. I mean, this is what it's down to now from here on out, and we got this week, and then there's no guarantees. We got to make sure that we're ready and prepared, and everything's locked in.
Well, Coach, it's always an honor to talk to you. I appreciate your time throughout the week at practice, and of course, this morning. It means a lot to me. But tough loss last night. I know you guys will pick up the pieces, and good luck next week against Taylor, and take it to the Titans.
All right, thank you. Have a good week.
Yeah, you too. That's head coach Marc Call of the West Central Trojans here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to talk about North Judson-San Pierre football with head coach Brett Lambert. A tough loss for the West Central Trojans last night. We were there for them, drenched in all, soaking wet. They played valiantly in the rain. We'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
I think 1A football probably going to go for it.
That's exactly
what they are.
Yes, they are. So Quaysbar from shotgun again. Takes the snap, high snap, hands off up the middle, fighting his way forward. He is going to be met by the Trojans. They are not going to get the touchdown. A big-time stop for the West Central Trojans. What a play. The D-line getting in there, Chris.
Yeah, big goal line stand there by the Trojans. So West Central will take over 1st and 10 from the 1-yard line.
So here we go, 3rd and goal for the Trojans. Takes the snap. He's going to keep it himself, fighting his way forward to the left side, and he gets the touchdown. A huge touchdown for the West Central Trojans as it's 14-6. They're back in the game.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
This here's Quaysbar from shotgun. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff. Now he's fighting away around the corner, and he got tackled in the backfield. Big-time tackle by number 22, Dre Villarreal, the sophomore.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana. Mitch Columbi, along with sports analyst Chris McGowan. We're talking the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays with head coach Brett Lambert coming off a big win last night. Their first win ever in North Judson-San Pierre high school history on the football field at Royal Center. They beat the Pioneer Panthers 33-12. They got to turn around and host Pioneer, though, next week for the first round of sectionals. Very interesting scenario. We talked a little bit about it last Saturday. Coach, good morning. Big win for you guys last night. I know that was something you wanted to check off the box. Now it's done. You're ready to move forward.
Was it a little wet last night?
It actually wasn't as bad as I thought, because I mean, like in pregame, like it wasn't raining. We knew it was coming, but it wasn't raining. So I was like, oh, maybe this won't be as bad. And then we got to the game, and it was a downpour for most of it.
Right. Yeah. Last night it was a monsoon at Francisville.
But when we went there 2 years ago, it was even worse. I mean, their field actually held up very well. I mean, I was pleasantly shocked by that. Because, like I said, 2 years ago when we went there, it was just like you couldn't even get your foot out of the ground. It was just getting sucked in the mud and the muck. But no, it was a unique situation because we know we have them again. So I think what was, I would say, probably nice for both teams is because of the rain. I think we had to be vanilla on both sides. So it wasn't like, I don't know. If you're hiding stuff, and I don't know if we even are because
at this point, the Pioneer staff, they've been doing it long enough. They're going to know what you do. You guys have been doing it long enough. You're going to know what they do. And,
absolutely. And there's going to be twists. I mean, I know they're going to have wrinkles. Probably formationists, probably more in this next game, and I would say play action passing and stuff. We're going to see a lot of that, but we got. I don't want to call them tricked, but a few things that we can do as well. But just I thought it was a hard fought game on both sides. I think it was respectful. I think both teams, not that we're not respectful teams, but we're probably thinking to themselves, well, we're going to see these guys next week. Better just keep our mouths shut type of thing. But I thought it was just a good game. And for us, I told them after the draw on Monday, hey, we got 8 quarters. This is an 8-quarter game. The first 4 quarters, we're trying to get that monkey off our back of not winning over in Royal Center. We also had the incentive of, getting a winning record for the year because we were 4-4 coming in. And I know our guys, coming in the season, if I would have told them, hey, we're going to be 5-4 at the end of the year, they would not have been happy with that. And I'm not either, but that's what it is. But we end up getting the winning record. We came out healthy. I think Pioneer came out healthy as well. So now we'll do it again next week at our place. But now both teams have the incentive of trying to work towards a trophy. So that's and to stay alive in the tournament. So that's what next week's going to bring for both of us.
And I've had this conversation with a bunch of people. When we talk about North Judson going into the game last night 4-4, like, well, what's going on? What's going on? Well, you got to take a look at, 3 of their losses have come against teams that are pretty darn good, number one. Number two, you're basically about 7 minutes away from having 3 more wins.
And that's what I was just about to say real quick before you get into this. Of the 4 losses you have, 3 of them are 4 points and under.
Yeah, and we in all of those had a lead.
Had a lead in fourth quarter.
And then the Triton game, and hats off to Triton, they came out and played, but we kind of imploded in that game, and that's in. We'll see. You got to win this week and keep winning. That could have been in some ways a turning point for us, though, because we kind of looked in the mirror and didn't really like what we saw.
Right.
And it was not good hustle wise. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that since. Although as I watched the film, there was a play at near the end of the first half last night that Triton kid had a heck of Pioneer kid had a heck of an effort, and got a big touchdown run against us, but I saw about 5 guys loafing. And to go back to what I was going to say, that reminded me of the Triton game. So we got to clean that up. We got to have 11 guys running the football and not just assuming that one half of the field's going to make the tackle, because if our other half of the field would have been sprinting, it shouldn't have gotten where it got to. So we still got some things to work on. And then penalties last night, and we got to clean that up. We had, I think, at least 70 yards in penalties.
Yeah.
And we try to do that again in the sectional game against Pioneer. That's I don't know if we can overcome that. We did last night, but you got to be on it, and you got to be smart about what you're doing, staying in your stance. Not getting a late hit, not getting not holding somebody, and just things that we should know better.
And, you go from the regular season to the postseason. What's the word I'm looking for? It does get amped up, obviously, because now it's win or go home. And so the level of play does pick up, even at the high school level. 70 yards and penalties, you're not going to get that. That's not good.
No, not at all. But no, just to go back to the game, though, I thought we did a good job, running the football. Wilcox had his best game in the year. He had about 135 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Benson, had an awful game, only 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, I'm joking when I say that. But McDaniel, Josiah had it. We only threw the ball 3 times. He was 2 out of 3, threw a touchdown pass. He had 50 yards on the ground. Defensively, Josiah had 2 interceptions as well. well. Defensively, did a good job there. I felt like Cozy Carr, just had both sides of the ball, played very well. I mean, I'm biased, but I feel like Cozy Carr is the best lineman in the conference. As a junior, I really believe that. And again, other coaches are going to have their guys. I get it, but I think he's just a force up front. And then, getting CJ, this is CJ, Sanchez's third game back, and he's was out for quite a while. So,
right.
So he's now, I saw definitely some good things last night. And then the LaVille game, I saw some real nice things out of him. What he can be.
Right.
And I think he's just trying to get into game shape. And him being probably in the mud last night wasn't we even got him out. We didn't even play him in the fourth quarter, and not because he was hurt. We just thought, let's not push this right now. But he has played well. David Brown did a really good job. He only had a couple tackles, but I thought he did a great job at defensive end for us. Stringing some things out and coming down hard on the Pioneer. So. We had some good performances, and we got to have even more of that this week as Pioneer comes to Liberty Field.
Well, yeah, I mean the way they run that Delaware wing tee, in the secondary, you get caught looking in the backfield before you know it, they're over your head. And staying disciplined in the pass, yeah, we got to stop the run, but hey, if you get caught looking, it's going to be like Triton, and you're going to be throwing the ball over your head consistently.
Absolutely. I mean, and we've talked about it. I mean, just do your job.
Do your job.
Keep your eyes in the right spot. Don't let your eyes wander. Once your eyes wander, you're in trouble. And like their first drive, they scored on their first drive. They had a good field position off the kickoff. They're about midfield, and then on third down, they hit us with a counter. And again, I don't think our linebackers overran it. They weren't playing it the way they were coached to do it. And then the next play, I think we had about three guys, kind of run into each other, and Tolosa's a strong, fast kid, broke it for a touchdown for about 10, 15 yards. So they got us right off the bat, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, God, here we are again at Pioneer.
Here we go.
Just same old. I was a little down, honestly. But we fought right back and scored on our first drive, and just did a good job of really controlling the clock and just getting it done. And again, we got to have a lot more of that this Friday. We have to. But again, I felt like it's everything we had to do. I've heard some people, and I read some things online. I heard people talking, just don't play to win this game. Just, who cares? It doesn't matter. And winning matters, guys.
Yeah,
winning matters.
It does matter. And the other one thing you didn't mention was the fact that placement in the conference. Because the way the conference, if my understanding is correct, you based on the number of wins and where you place in the conference, that's the number of kids that you can nominate for the all-conference team.
Yeah, and that's true. And we didn't talk about that, but as you are right.
But as coaches, you do. I mean, that's a conversation you're having in the coach's office because you want to be able to give as much credit to as many of your kids as possible.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely right. So, yeah, I guess, and I don't know if the kids think about that. And again, we might have mentioned at one point, but we just also don't want to finish behind.
Don't want to lose.
Yeah, we want to win. We want to win.
Yeah.
And that's just what it comes down to. And that's what competitors do. They win, and that's your goal. And
right.
From now on, there is no choice.
Right. It's win or go home.
Yeah, win or go home. That's right. And before I even go and more, and we got Pioneers coming today for middle school and JV. They're coming over our place. Probably going to tear the field up a little bit, but that's all right. But our JV, they're trying to go undefeated today, so they're going to try to go 6-0 if they can beat Pioneer. So they've had a great year. Coach Wright and Coach Singleton have done awesome there. And then our 8th grade is going to try to go. I think it's 10-0. They're going to try to go undefeated today as well. So Coach Scheidler, Coach Radtke, Coach Metzger, Coach Harris, they've done a great job at the middle school. I know the 7th grade's had a good season as well, but the 8th grade's trying to go undefeated.
But you talk about your JV team possibly going undefeated, but you haven't played the normal HNAC schedule. You guys have picked up, you played Crown Point.
We played Crown Point's C team, but I'm going to tell you, their C team looks like a varsity team for some. And then we played West Lafayette.
West Lafayette.
And then I think it'd be Pioneer, LaVille, Knox, and Triton. So that's what our JV schedule was. Yeah, so we got a couple others, from out of conference in there. And then, Crown Point, what's their varsity undefeated right now, I think.
Yeah.
They got a heck of a program. Of course, West Lafayette's West Lafayette. And we would have wanted to get a couple more. I mean, we'd like to play 7 or 8 JV games, but it didn't work out. But I'm glad Pioneer's coming over, and hopefully we can finish off with a winning game there.
Right.
I know you weren't pleased with your season record, but now the records are out the window. Everyone's 0-0. Do you like where your team's at right now?
I think we're moving in the right direction, yeah. Like I said, I felt like just in a lot of ways – and it wasn't like the Triton game was the only game we were doing bad stuff, but it felt like that all came together, came to a head in that game. It was a perfect storm, and we just looked back and thought, well, this isn't Blue Jay football. And I think practice has been a lot better since then. I feel like, LaVille game, even though we lost, we played an enthusiastic, hard-hitting style of football, which is what we want. I think we did for the most part, a good job last night. Although, like I said, there's a couple plays I felt like, we didn't have enough guys running the football, so we got to work on that. But yeah, I feel like we're trending in the right direction. But we have to keep improving, because if we don't, don't be fooled by the Pioneer score. That was a game last night, and if we commit some turnovers, don't do the right stuff, have penalties, don't execute, they could knock us off, and we're trick or treating here in a couple of weeks, and and back to the wrestling mats and basketball court.
I was just sitting here smiling when you asked that question, because as a coach, I'm never happy. No matter how good we play or how bad we play, there's always room for improvement.
Even if you win state, think about next year already.
Yeah. That's how I roll.
I might have a smile on my face if we win state, but
for about 5 minutes.
That's true.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in. Big time win yesterday. You finish off the season strong, and look forward to hearing about a big win next week. Of course, we're going to be there for you. Stark County's hosting a sectional game next week, and they are hosting the Pioneer Panthers from Liberty Field in North Judson, Indiana. We're going to be there for you. Let's see, you guys are going live what time's the kickoff? I just had that. I looked it up.
It should be 6:30 Central Time.
So we'll be going live at 6 Central, 7 Eastern, right here on 99.3 FM and WKVI.com, streaming throughout the world. Coach, appreciate your time. We'll see you this week at practice.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, that's head coach Brett Lambert of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to talk Knox Redskin football with head coach Russ Radtke after the break. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Since you came into my life, it's the same old situation.
3rd and 4 here, 4 yards for the Trojans on the left hash. It's Connor Marlatt setting his man in motion, takes the snap, hands off to Pilarski up the middle, fighting his way forward, trying to get the first down, and he does. He's finally brought down at the 36-yard line. That's enough to move the chains for a West Central Trojan first down.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort. Here's more with area high school coaches as we return to the Saturday Sports Line from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios on K99.3.
Back in our game, Quaysbar takes the snap, and he's sacked in the backfield. Big time tackle by number 12 of the West Central Trojans, Christian Hughes.
Right.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. Mitch Columbi along with sports analyst Chris McGowan. We've got head coach of the Knox Redskins,
Back in the house.
Russ Radtke's here. A lot to talk about. The Knox Redskins are undefeated for the first time in their history as a football program. 9-0 is where they ended their regular season. And head coach Russ Radtke completes his 400th career win. What a night to do it, Coach. Not only do you help bring an undefeated season to Knox, you also get your 400th career win, so it's a win-win for everybody. Congratulations, Coach. You got to be happy. Well, I don't know.
HNAC champions as well.
HNAC champions. I'm sure you're already biting, ready to go for next week. But I got to ask, Coach, how does it feel this morning to know everything that's been going on?
Well, I feel that the only word you probably misused there was I. It's 6 different programs and a lot of assistant coaches, a lot of administrators, a lot of teachers and educators helping getting all this done, okay? And it couldn't be done everywhere. There's some spots that just couldn't coach at. And we always do what's right for the boys and for the community and making sure the parents feel good about what they are and who the administration is getting done. So, getting that opportunity to have done it here at Knox, just as well as we've done some other milestones, is how you would say it, in the long run of 47 years. It's been exciting and it's been fun, and we surely are glad that Knox is able to share this opportunity.
Well, let's talk about last night. Big win for you. You traveled to Caston. I'm guessing it was pouring the whole game like it was in Francisville last night. Was it raining the whole game?
Well, it got really bad right at the in the second quarter, and then from there on, it was just. It's just terrible. There's just situation. Luckily, we didn't have any lightning or thunder or anything like that. We had to win in the rain and the festivities of how well we're playing. We scored 50. That was all done in the first half.
Jeez.
We make sure that points and things were not getting done that would cause any kind of situation. I would say about the only other thing that was kind of strange took place last night is that conditions and so forth are realistic, all right?
What are you doing? He brought his pants in.
Okay.
Did you fall?
What color is that?
That looks like it's dry blood, Coach.
Dry blood. All right, that's all I need to know right there. Okay, so we're going to get it evaluated right now because as was stated earlier in the Times by Forrest Gumps.
Oh, my God.
Okay. He didn't know whether or not he got this, and since we're on the radio, and there's nobody else I'd rather do this to but you, okay? But is that cheek okay right there?
Oh, my gosh.
Looks good, Coach.
Looks good. All right. There we go. So it's not blood.
All right.
You're lucky I don't have a camera on.
Oh, my God.
But we definitely are feeling better now, and I wouldn't have had any other choice but to get me a basketball coach this morning with an opportunity to check my buttocks to find out if I'd gotten shot.
Gosh.
I definitely got hogtied and drugged down the sidelines. I know that. Somehow the chain gang wrapped around both my legs. They pulled it tight, and then they drugged me for a good 4 or 5 yards. I was able to get myself on. The only thing I was looking forward to is possibly some official coming over and saying, that's a sideline warning, and throw a flag on me. But we didn't have that.
Hold those pants up again. I want to get a picture of that.
Oh, my God.
I can't believe
this just happened.
This just happened. Coach Radtke just mooned you.
But, hey, everything's good. It was a good night for football. Of a lot of community people and so forth. We enjoyed the crowd that was there. And
how am I supposed to do this interview?
Right. I'm scarred for life.
I don't know what to ask you.
No offense, Coach.
But every time I officiate one of your ball games from now on, I better have a big smile on that face of yours, right? There ain't no more grimacing and yelling at me.
I'm not even going to be able to look at you.
But these are all good opportunities for Knox and the community and the things that are getting done. And we're just glad to present football and have a good opportunity to have a lot of young guys. We had a good group last night of we got 2 running backs down with over 1,000 yards. And when you start throwing in the linemen that have to do that stuff for us with Caleb Schwant and Noah Bolen and Lennon Howard, Tucker Burns, Keyston Dixon, Isaiah Jones, they got to feel good about what they're able to do right now. And, this last week, we had a lot of illness. we were at times down to 27, 28 guys at practice.
Wow.
And they rest assured that they would all be back come this week. So, things happen. Like I've told you before, we've been in football here a long time, and we've had boys that had appendicitis and still made it back to the state championship game because it's a long time. No other sport has so much time in between each game. And now that we're making a run into this tournament right here, it definitely runs for 6 weeks. So you got to definitely try to work with everything you can.
I can't believe what just is going on
right
now. I'm sorry. You're going to have to ask the question.
I'll ask the question. All right. So, yeah, everybody had the perfect season, 9-0. But that's over now. You're moving on to first round of sectionals. You have to travel to Lakeland, a team that you knocked out of the playoffs last year. What do you know about this year's Lakeland team?
Well, first thing, it's an hour and 40 minutes to get there. And that's it's definitely a sectional that is.
They're going to let you leave
extreme.
School early?
Well, the other advantage we have.
Oh, you're on fall break.
We're on fall break.
So you can leave whenever you want.
The boys found out today that I don't know how long that break they're going to enjoy, but we're going to have a lot of good football practices and opportunities to get things done. They have successfully keep working on getting their program better all the time. They've had some situations where they have lost a game, but it was in overtime.
And it's to West Noble, who's undefeated.
West Noble, who's undefeated. And so we have given an opportunity to now take this to this next level. And, you start adding in Jake Conroy and Rowan Jordan and Myles McLaughlin, and then you throw Jane Strong in there and Logan Taylor and Connor Wisnack. These are the guys. These guys throw the ball.
Right.
We're going against a team that's going to be throwing the ball a lot. And we got to be able to count on them as a secondary, that by the time we get done with our practice schedules and our filming and so forth, we'll have everything set up for them come Monday.
I can speak from experience. I was part of a team at North Judson that rolled through the regular season, went undefeated, had aspirations of playing in the state championship, but hey, the Laville Lancers had a different idea and come to Liberty Field and knocked us off and beat us pretty handily. And so you can't take anything for granted. Yeah, it's great what you've done, but moving forward here, you have to execute or you're going home.
Well, I think these young men are able to do this, again, because like the illnesses we had this week and the 4 to 5 starters that were out, it shows you how quick you might be called on as a number 2 or number 3 to have to be on the field.
Right.
I mean, you don't, me, coach, right now? Well, heck, you're going in right now to start. And so these guys filled in last night, and I'm not just saying a fill-in. Camden Gardner came in, played in the defensive secondary. We had Smith that came in on the offensive line, Hayden Smith that came in on the offensive line, and then you throw Lucas Skelly that came in on the offensive line too to try to help out situations. And it's fill-in time, but it's time to get your opportunity. And we just appreciate that opportunity to gotten that shutout last night, because a lot of the JV was in the second half, and they made us a goal line stand where they were able to stop, and they were still playing a lot of their number ones. So everybody's got to realize that they're not an second or third stringer anymore, buddy.
Right.
This is time.
It's time to perform. I was going to ask, there's probably no JV game today, right?
No, we got a junior high game going over there right now. But
so I was going to say your JV players, probably with it being 50-0 at halftime, probably played the most of the second half, I'd say, if not all the second half. So you're able to rest some starters too last night going into next week, and that could be huge as well.
That's probably because I landed on my buttock. I can't remember why I did that. Okay, but I remember.
It's got to be on tape. I am gonna have to ask for a huddle copy of that because this guy, I got to see you being drugged down the field.
He's probably got it.
Well, I haven't seen your facial feature yet, so because I was looking the other way.
Well, God, I was in shock.
Overall,
I didn't know what to do.
Overall, we're going to have fun. That's the big thing right now, and we're going to really enforce the opportunity that they've done a great job getting their grades in, making sure everything's accountable for who they are, and we really expect a lot of work out of a lot of kids right now to get ourselves ready for a big one, because it goes from 64 to 32. This is the biggest week. This is the biggest week that a lot of teams put their stuff away. You go 64 to 32. That's just not fun.
Yeah, half the teams will be putting their stuff away on Monday.
That's what will take place, and you got to, and you can't suddenly start coaching the kids that way, because they've played every game this year that, man, one mess up and we could have lost a game to get this perfect season and this opportunity for the offense and defense to click. It's just something fantastic. And you got McLaughlin with now 1376 and Jake Conray with 1054. You got the average per game for Coach White and Coach Short and Coach Bowe and Tyler. Average rushing per game now is 336. This is what we need going into this type of atmosphere.
Well, Coach, you faced Lakeville first round of sectionals last year. You were able to take care of business. This was at home last year. Now you traveled to Lakeland. A little bit of a drive, a little over an hour, I think I checked.
Hour and 40.
Yeah, a little far. So talk about the travel time.
We're affecting his memory bank already?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about the move.
No, be quiet.
So the importance here is getting it all set up so that you're not on that road. We might take a break in between somewhere, find a little time to get off and get something.
Stretch your legs.
But Bo Radtke will get the schedule set up because we've been on a time schedule all the way through the entire year of making sure what time we have to be there, what time we hit the field, so they feel comfortable with who they are and why they're here.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming in.
That's no problem. We'll be back next weekend. Heading over to the game.
Hey, but for real, yeah.
Congrats on the undefeated regular season, the HNAC championship, and 400 wins.
Well, it's that conference championship is really something to have gotten, and now we got the traveling trophy, and we're not in the conference anymore. So what do we do with the pig?
Good question.
Well, you can change the trophy the way you want right now.
I don't know.
You're in charge.
I don't know. We could hold it for a ransom, or
I guess you encase it and you put it in the trophy case at Knox High School.
Yeah, I don't know if they can get a picture of that on steel, but we'll see what we can put on the top of it. Okay.
Right.
Hey, we'll keep it going, Coach.
All right, take care. I appreciate everything you guys are doing and having fun doing it, and all our coaches here, no matter where they are. We're all starting out in the state of Indiana, and it might be, again, the only state in the United States where everybody's in.
Right.
Everybody's in. And you can't ask for anything better that you can say positive about the IHSA. Hey, look, I just said something positive about the IHSA.
Well, it's only week one of sectionals.
It's definitely a full moon tonight.
All right, guys.
Coach, appreciate your time. That's head coach Russ Radtke of the Knox Redskins. Oh, man. Another one for the books, Chris. We got to take a break. We will be right back after this. We're going to talk Winamac Warrior football with head coach Josh Burgess on the other side. Man, the fun never ends with head coach Russ Radtke. The Knox Redskins are undefeated for the first time in their history. 9-0. Ready to start their sectional run here next week against Lakeland. Taking a break. Don't go anywhere.
Now I see you fall to the floor.
Marlatt relays the play to an offensive lineman who couldn't hear. Now he's set to go. Takes the snap. Toss out. Jacob Pilarski up the left side.
Brian's his dad.
I know. I talked with him in the spring. He's a softball coach, of course, here at West Central. And a nice little handoff to Jacob, or toss out to Jacob Pilarski. Maybe a couple on the carry.
Left and we move it to the right. Don't blink. Open your eyes now. Oops, and you might be missing me.
Real magic is everywhere. It's in your mom's cooking, in 4-hour dinners with friends, in that first bite of something new, and in the fizz of a Coca-Cola. Now with so many options for less than $5, the Coca-Cola Value Collection will help you make the most out of every magic moment for so much less. Taste the magic for less with Coca-Cola.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that when agriculture thrives, we all do. It's the heart and grit of our agricultural communities that keep the crops coming in and the livestock cared for. Hi, I'm Isaac Blue, your ag lender at First Farmers here in Knox and North Judson. Thank you for all your hard work. And when you're ready to talk about taking your ag operation to the next level, come by for a visit. Let's harvest success together. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Listen for more insight in local high school sports on the Saturday Sports Line. Here's your sports director, Mitch Columbi.
Yep, out to the right as here's the snap. Hand off. No, he keeps it himself. Eli trying to fight around the edge, and the Trojans pounce on it. Fumble. And there's a fumble on the play. The Trojans think they have it. They're jumping up and down, very excited.
And they do.
And they do have it. Quaysbarth fumbles it. The Trojans pick it up. That's even better field position.
Exactly.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. I thought I'd seen it all, Chris. I
tell you what, being in education as long as I've been, anytime I ever say, I think I've seen it all now, within 5 minutes you see something that you've never seen before.
Well,
and I could have gone my entire life without seeing what I just saw. So thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Well, I took a picture of the pants. He held up the pants from last night. I posted it on our social media. You can see it on Facebook, Sports the Max. It's in our story, as well as Instagram at WKVI Sports. So Coach proved he was dragged in the mud last night, but still came out on top.
I got to see the video. I know there's huddle video of it. There's got to be, and I got to see that him getting his leg caught up and just drug. That's worth. That would be worth the price of admission.
He just threw me off. I couldn't even get a question in. I still am a little flustered here. We've got head coach of the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess. I think that's what Coach Radtke likes to do. He likes to fluster you. How are you going to react?
How are you going to react? How are you going to perform when you're flustered?
So here we go, Josh. Let's talk about last night. Tough loss.
Follow that up, Coach.
35-6 against a Triton, a good team in Triton. But, of course, you're dealing with some injuries. We know about some players, unfortunately. Just a tough way to end the season. 3-6 on the year, but we saw some wins on this team and a valiant effort. Several other games that we've covered. You see Lafayette Central Catholic next week on the road. Let's talk about last night, though. What'd you see on the football field you liked?
Despite the score, saw some good things. Again, our kids were really resilient. We did not get off to a very good start for whatever reason. I don't know if it was the weather. Obviously we had senior night, and it was important to honor our seniors. We had a lot, and we honored other seniors from other groups too, which is fine. But we spent a lot of time just standing around before the game, and Triton came out and jumped on us. We kicked off. They completed a long touchdown pass where we kind of blew a coverage. Couldn't get anything going offensively. They rip off a 40-yard touchdown run on the next series. So we're down 14-0, with about 10 minutes left still in the first quarter. We fumble the ball, give them a short field. They score, have another turnover, short field, and they score. So we're still in the first quarter, and it's 28-0. And
that happened fast.
Yeah, it happened really fast, and I was, a little worried. Hey, how ugly is this going to get? But, we got to the quarter, kind of pulled our kids in, and I just said, hey, we're going to have to play, and they responded. We scored early in the second quarter. Addison Allen, who ran the ball really well for us last night, he kind of stepped in with Jaden Jones being out, and Addison had right at 100 yards rushing. Had a nice 62-yard run on a counter to get it 28-6, and that's where it stayed until. Right at the end of the fourth quarter, Triton got one more touchdown pass into the May kid, with about 5 minutes left in the game. But, give credit to Triton. They jumped on us early. I thought we settled in defensively. We just had a hard time getting anything going offensively last night with obviously the weather, but more so with what Triton did. They were really aggressive and physical up front and made it pretty hard on us last night. But, hey, give the kids credit. It could have easily been, 56-0 at halftime with the running clock. And I thought, mentally our kids responded. We kind of challenged them a little bit. So that's definitely a positive we can take away going into next week.
Well, let's talk about next week. You faced Lafayette Central Catholic last year in sectionals. Was it where was that game held?
Oh, we were at Lafayette Central Catholic.
And now you got to go again.
Yeah, and
second verse, same as the first.
Yeah, and hey, I don't mind. In our section, you're gonna have to beat everybody.
Right.
That's my opinion. You're not gonna get a little trophy for winning one game or two games. If you want to take home the hardware, you've got to win those 3 games in that tournament to get it done. You're gonna have to play some tough teams and play some tough games. Obviously, I would have rather maybe played them at our place this time. I not gonna question the randomness of the draw, but I am gonna question a little bit. I'd kind of like to see those ping pong balls and how they bounce around a little bit.
I want to watch it myself.
Yeah. So hey, we'll play whoever we get, and I've been around long enough now to know, tournament time, anything can happen. Central Catholic's got a really nice team. I watched a little bit last night once we got the film exchange. They've got athletic kids. They're good up front. They do a lot of good things. Coach Ney and his staff always has their kids prepared. But at the same time, I firmly believe if you got a group of kids that want to continue to play, you've got a chance. And if you've got kids that are ready to move on to winter sports or whatever they're doing, you're probably going to put your stuff away that next week. So I think in our locker room, we've got kids that want to continue to play. So we're gonna have a good week of practice this week. We're going to get a game plan in, and we're going to go down there and give it a roll and see what happens.
And there's a Winamac connection, right? So at Lafayette Central Catholic, Breyfogle, defense coordinator down there at Lafayette Central Catholic?
Right.
Yeah, former player for us, graduated 2016. I always start losing track now, right around there. So he played for us. Al Breyfogle's been involved in our program for a long time middle school coach. He was my middle school coach, and I played middle school. So there's a little bit of a connection down to that. And hey, he's done a nice job down there. But we'll focus on what we need to do this week, and we'll see if we can get it done.
You bring up an interesting point. You draw Lafayette Central Catholic for the second year in a row. I found it interesting. Knox drew Lakeland for the second year in a row, South Central and Culver. It is interesting how you're almost like planning to see a similar team each year in the sectionals. Of course, you don't face Lafayette Central Catholic during the season. So does that kind of throw things off when you haven't seen a team during the regular season, or is it just back to 0-0? We start from scratch.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of back to 0-0. Just got to watch the film. We'll do that this weekend and just put a game plan together. I thought we did some nice things against them last year with our young team. They jumped on us early with some special teams plays, but I thought once we settled in, we moved the ball on them, not as consistently obviously as what we needed to, and defensively we had some guys out, and I think we are better defensively and really in all 3 phases of the game this year than what we were last year. Now, again, not to minimize anything that they're doing. They play a tough schedule, and they've had a nice year. They've got some big wins recently, so it's going to be a tough task for us. But at the same time, we're not going to shy away from it. We're gonna be prepared this week, and we're going to go down there and give it a run and see what we can do.
I'm with you. Because you actually can go down and watch the draw live. I mean, they do open it up. So I'm one of these days I may just be tempted just to go down there just to see how they actually do it. Because there's sometimes there's some draws like, man, that had to be done on purpose.
Yeah, I'm not, you just look at that in the coaching office. We were talking about it Monday. You're just thinking, hey, we're not afraid to play anybody. We'll play anybody that we draw. We've got several tough teams in our sectional that are more than capable of getting the job done. But you just think, hey, what are the chances 2 years in a row? Hey, maybe drawing the same team, you get that. Like you talked about Knox and you talked about Culver, and there's a lot of teams in the state. But then you start thinking about, hey, we're going to the same place.
Yeah, they're flipping this year
2 years in a row. So.
Whereas this year you have to go again, just like last year.
Yeah. So hey, it is what it is, and like I said, we'll be prepared and we'll be ready to go on Friday.
Well, let's talk about the weather a little bit last night. It was definitely an issue for us in Francisville for our game that we broadcast. Was the weather a factor at all from where are you still drying your clothes this morning?
Yeah, I stopped by the coach's office this morning and checked on some things that were drying out still, and they're still pretty wet. Hey, both teams had to play in it,
right?
Yeah.
And both teams had to deal with it. And I thought Triton early on maybe did a little bit better job of dealing with it than what we did.
Do you like coaching a game like that?
We'll put it this way: the older I get, the less I like standing out in the rain. When I was playing, I loved it. I loved being out there.
Yeah.
But
that's what Chris was saying.
Standing on the sidelines and coaching, and it's hey, we'll deal with it. It's probably not my favorite thing to do anymore. Is just to be soaked, but. yeah, I don't think that was an excuse as far as our start. I just think, for whatever reason, we weren't ready and they were, and give them all the credit. Their coaching staff had them ready to go coming out, and they jumped on us pretty early. But again, hey, we're disappointed in the loss, and we had some disappointed kids in the locker room last night. But at the same time, just the effort of our kids, I never questioned that, and just kind of the resiliency. And we've seen that more over the past couple weeks. When things go bad, we don't just hang our heads and just say, hey, we're done and we're not going to compete. So saw a lot of kids competing last night. Saw a lot of good things that we can build on as we go forward this week.
Well, Coach, good luck next week. I appreciate you coming in today. It means a lot. 3-6 on the year. I know that's probably not what you were hoping for, but the 3 wins you got, we saw a couple of them, and you guys really turned this season around, and you guys look strong. So good luck against Lafayette Central Catholic next week on the road.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate all that you guys do.
Absolutely. That's head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break, go to the top of the hour. News and weather coming your way. This is KVB's WKVI Sports.
The snap, the hold, the punt is up away clean. It's going to be touched at the... Oh, my goodness, it was touched by the Vikings, and the Trojans pounce on it. They're going to pick the ball up at the 50-yard line, and they are going to have possession. Oh, man.
Can't you see I'm easily...
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios, quality care closer to home. You're listening to WKVI FM 99.3. Knox, North Judson, Winamac, playing the best of Vinyl Gold, a service of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting.
Fox News, I'm Paul Stevens. Palestinians on the move in Gaza following more warnings from Israel ahead of what could be a major ground offensive.
We understand, according to the Israeli military, that Israeli infantry troops and tanks entered the Gaza Strip to conduct limited operations. This was a 2-part event. They were looking for information about the hostages that were taken into Gaza by Hamas. And second, they were trying to destroy or kill any of the militants that are still along the border.
That's Fox's Trey Yings. It's slow going in the House, where a vote for Speaker could happen again as soon as this Monday.
The House Republican civil war continues to rage on.
Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan hopes to secure enough votes to become the next House Speaker. America's listening to Fox News.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
From the K99.3 Weather Center, here's your forecast.
Today, windy with rain showers and a high near 55. Chance of precipitation is 80%. Mostly cloudy with isolated showers tonight and a low around 41. Sunday, partly cloudy with a high near 54.
For your extended forecast 24/7, visit our website, WKVI.com. From the WKVI Weather Studio, it's 50 degrees.
It's time now for Hour 2 of the Saturday Sports Line with your host, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
We are back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital Studios. This is the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line. It's time to talk about our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week from South Central, senior football star Aaron Hogan. Aaron broke the school's record for most touchdowns scored in a single game. It was previously at 7 touchdowns in one game. This cat broke it in the first half with 8 total touchdowns, helping his Satellites in a big-time win in Week 7. 61-8 was the final. Here's my sit-down interview with South Central senior Aaron Hogan.
All right, I'm here with Aaron Hogan, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Aaron, you scored 8 touchdowns, breaking the school record, but not in just the game. You did it in the first half, which is really remarkable. I got to ask you, we've seen you the last couple of years. What is it about football that you love?
I just love the environment. I love the coaches. I love going to do something after school with my friends.
Well, let's talk about those friends. Who on this team do we need to know about? I know that we talk a lot about you, but who else on this team should we recognize?
Zach Hanshaw for sure. I've played with him since I've played football. He's always been my quarterback, and I'm glad I've always got to play football with him. He's a great guy. I'm going to go with Rylan Rondo. He's a shorter kid, but I love the way he plays. He's just like Tyler Carr's cousin. He's not the bigger kid, but he knows how to hit and play the game.
Talk about the coaching staff. What is it about Coach Schoff that you appreciate?
I love his determination for a game. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and the way he draws things up is insane how it plans out.
We were here, of course, week 2 where you guys took on the Culver Cavaliers, and I know that was a big matchup for you guys. A little bit of a rivalry it's become the last few years. But, man, you, along with Zach, really provided us with some fantastic highlights, some of the best highlights I've had all year, quite frankly. Talk about maybe that game, but just this season as a whole. When you guys have been able to click like that throughout the season, I'm sure that brings a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement to this team.
So we have a bunch of kids that really haven't played football in their lifetime, or it might be their first or second year. So when we do get a clicking moment, it feels a great feeling because, one, it's on your back and it's on your quarterback's back. It's just a great feeling for you to have.
So let's talk about those 8 touchdowns, Aaron. Pretty impressive. The original record was 7 touchdowns scored in a game. You did that in one half and got one more, totaling 8 touchdowns in the first half in that game. Coach Schoff talked to us on the Saturday Sports Line. Of course, we talk to him each week. He said it wasn't that he was planning on you to score 8 touchdowns. It's just the ball landed in your hands and the holes opened up wide enough for you to be able to just dominate on the football field. What did that feel like for you?
It felt great because really I'd have to give a shout out to my O-line. I'd run through a wide open hole and there'd just be nobody there, and it just made it easy for me. They made it really easy for me.
And I know last year you were dealing with some injuries as a junior. You turn around and you just work your butt off in the off season, and you come with such tenacity. When we watch you on the field, you put your head down and you run hard. What is it about this running style? Where does that come from? Where does your determination come from?
I know I got speed on a lot of people, so if I just run downhill, because I'm not a bigger guy, so if I just run downhill as fast as I can, I'm hoping to break a couple tackles and break free.
Well, let's talk about your family. What are your parents' names?
My mom's name is Jennifer Venice, and my dad's name is Nicholas Hogan.
What's a message that you would share with them, thanking them for all their support?
I love to thank my mom. She's been there since day one. She helps me get to practices, or when I couldn't drive, she would help me get there. She bought all my stuff for me so I could play. She comes out and watches me. I love that. My dad, he comes around, watches some games, and he'd buy me cleats and stuff for the game. So I love that.
Well, and I know this is your senior season, but talk about, as a whole, what it's been like to go to South Central and then what you're hopeful for in the future.
I've had family that's went to South Central, so when I get to play with family, and my whole family being at the game watching both of us play, and both of us playing together was a great feeling for me.
What's the future hold for Aaron Hogan? Do you know what you're going to do after high school quite yet?
Yeah, I'd like to go to IU Bloomington and go to business school. Playing football there, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it happens, it happens.
Well, very cool, Aaron. Aaron, I appreciate your time today. I always ask this question to our athletes of the week, especially at the school we're at. What does it mean to Aaron Hogan to be a South Central satellite?
It's great, and the satellite. This is the only school with the satellite as their mascot in the nation. So,
well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on being named our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Good luck the rest of the season, and good luck to you in your future.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank Aaron for his time this past week. Really nice to sit down and talk with him. What an accomplishment. We congratulate him. Also, big time thank you to Athletic Director John Haggard for setting that interview up, as we are going to take a break and come right back back, we're going to talk Knox cross country with head coach James Adcock. That's on the other side. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Yeah, first goal from the 2 here. Marlatt takes the snap, hands off, pulls himself. He's going to get the touchdown. Connor Marlatt, it's a West Central Trojan touchdown. 20-18.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we know that when agriculture thrives, we all do. It's the heart and grit of our agricultural communities that keep the crops coming in and the livestock cared for. Hi, I'm Isaac Blue, your ag lender at First Farmers here in Knox and North Judson. Thank you for all your hard work. And when you're ready to talk about taking your ag operation to the next level, come by for a visit. Let's harvest success together. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
And we are back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. We are talking with head coach of the cross-country team at Knox Community High School, James Adcock, this morning. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, good. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you are, too. I know sectionals is happening today. A lot going on. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We haven't talked to you yet this season. I want to know who on this cross-country team we need to know about.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we better look out for Riley Warren. He's a senior this year, and he's shooting to get to semi-state. We need to knock some time off, but I think he can do that. Dirk Huff has been running hard, and he's doing a great job. Some of our freshmen are doing a fantastic job. Alex Wallsmith and Jaron Allport. We have some guys that are doing it. We have a young man who started running for me in 5th grade named Eugene Scott. When he first ran for me in 5th grade, now it's a 2.1, or excuse me, it's a 1. It's a 3K, so it's about 1.5, whatever. Now in high school, it's a 5K, and so that's about a 2.1 miles. When he first ran for me in 5th grade, he had 45 minutes in a 3K, and now he's running. He's a freshman, and he's knocked his time down into the low 20s, mid 20s. And the kid just works hard. He just works hard. He's always saying, my legs hurt. But but he's getting after it, and that's a lot of it's his own self-discipline. The kid is super strong. Some other kids out there dealing with injuries. Caleb Prescott, he's worked hard, working on that. So that's our guys' side. Our girls' side, Amelia Brockman will be tearing it out for us today. Hoping to do good. Our best runner is in Florida from the girls' side, and she's down there enjoying Universal and Disney on fall break. That happens when these type things take place. But she's a freshman, so we're looking forward to 3 more good years with her. Cadence Quells is doing a good job. She works hard. Riley, a girl, Riley Taylor, she works hard. So our girls are in good shape. Harper Hazelton is doing a good job as a freshman. She's coming in 2nd or 3rd for our team, and she just continues to put in every day for practice. So we're excited about today.
How long have you been coaching the cross-country team here at Knox?
I started in middle school, and so I did that for 3 years. I'm in my 3rd year as a high school head coach. So 6 altogether.
And do you have anyone coaching with you?
I do. I have Karen Kaiser. Karen Kaiser is just, I like to call her the Beast. I know it's not nice to call a lady a beast, but she is
in the sporting world.
In the sporting world,
okay.
Yes. But she's still running marathons.
Wow.
And in fact, she's training now for another marathon. Her goal was to run 1,000 miles this year, and she's not going to quite hit it, but she's going to get close. She just gets after it. And so when the kids are like, I can't do this, she's like, listen, look at my age, and I'm not going to give her age, but let's say it's 60 plus. And I asked her yesterday at practice 2 days ago, and I said, how many did you run today? She goes, I put in 8 this morning, and 8 miles. So how many people are doing that?
Right.
And so she's bringing that to the table and doing a great job.
Well, it sets the example. It lets the kids know that, hey, if she's putting in the time and effort, that you can too.
Yeah. Rain, snow, shine. You'll see Karen out there running.
Well, and talk about what the philosophy is. I didn't run cross country in high school. What does a head coach want from his cross country team? I can only assume, fitness is one of them, but nutrition has got to be somewhere in there too as well.
Well, we're dealing with a fast food world. So kids love McDonald's or they love Burger King here or wherever, Taco Bell. And those are like some of the worst things you can do. So we try to really encourage the kids pasta the night before a meet, or eat oatmeal an hour or two before we go to run. Don't eat something that's heavy. We know you're going to eat things you probably shouldn't eat. Let's do it in moderation. Let's keep a balance there. So nutrition's a big deal. We try to improvise in practices, not run, because you can run someone to death to a certain degree. So we try to include stretching. We've done swim days where we go into the pool and we do different things that's less hard on the body as far as that goes. So we try to do a good mix. Still learning. I watch other coaches. Winamac has a great program. Bremen has a great program. Okay, what are these coaches doing with their team that help their teams compete every year, have great runners? And I think, some of that is, your pedigree. Sometimes you just have a great runner. And Mitchell from Caston years ago was a great example that he loved to run. He ran to school. He ran home from school. You don't have kids doing that every day.
Sure.
Sometimes you just have natural kids doing that. But if you just have kids coming out and they're like, I just want to run, or I just want to be part of a team, or I want to get in shape for the next sport, which would be basketball probably for most of them, boys or girls. How do we do that? Well, we just try to get them in the best shape we can, try to make them good runners at the same time, because cross country is that we run. What are we doing today, Coach, for practice? We're running.
What
are we going to do tomorrow? We're running. And so there's not a lot of change. So we try to change, like, okay, let's run on grass today. Let's run on concrete today. Let's run through the park today. Let's run hills. And so we try to change and have a good way of mixing it up where the kids are like, yeah, we're running, but it's different. And sometimes we do what we call treasure hunts. So I'll say, you got to go find the water tower in town. So they run to the water tower. They got to take a picture of themselves. Got to run to the graveyard. You got to run to H2O Street. And like, what's H2O? Well, you got to figure that out on the periodic table. And so they got to run to Water Street. Okay, run to somebody who was a president. And so they run to Roosevelt Street, and so they got to take pictures of the sign, and so that just kind of breaks it up a little bit. They're running, but at the same time they're doing something that's kind of fun too, and they have to do that as a team.
It gives them more motivation to get there. They have a task to do, not just to run there and run back.
Right.
Well, and then talk about sectionals. A lot of things happen throughout the season. I know, like you said, bodies. Human bodies can break down. Here we are in the latter portion of the season, and it's cold.
It's cold.
You started your season out. It was a little warm there in the summer. Then you transition into fall. It's a little chilly now.
Yep.
What is the mindset that you want your kids to have for a sectional run?
Well, last week we went and ran at Tippy Valley. We had to leave at 5:30 Knox time because we ran at 7 o'clock Knox time. It was 48 degrees when we started. So the kids learned something. They had their hoodies on, uniforms over their hoodies. They had long pants on. Well, about a mile in, they're getting hot. And they're starting to overheat. So we have to learn to dress to the weather, but not dress so heavily that we get bogged down between mile 1 and mile 2. So I think we're going to bring that to the table. We're running a little bit later today. We'll be running at 10:30 for the boys and about 11:15 for the girls. We're running in Rensselaer. It's mostly grass. So some of the kids may have track shoes where they have the spikes. Most of my kids will be running in tennis shoes. Possibility of some rain. Definitely supposed to be cooler, high 40s, low 50s. We just got to breathe through it and realize everybody's facing the same obstacle. Nobody has a heated course that they're running on that's different than us. We're all running the same course, so we just got to get out there and get after it.
As a head coach, where do you like to be at the start of the race? Or are you right there at the start and finish line?
So it's a little more difficult with the boys because they're a little bit more quicker. So I like to start the beginning.
Right.
Hit the timer. I run to the mile marker. Run to the second mile.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. Run to the second mile marker because we're doing 1 mile mark, 2 mile mark, and then the finish, and then we hustle back to the finish. Throughout the whole thing, we're trying to encourage kids. Now, what makes it difficult is we only can run 7 today. It's your top 7. So I have 10. I have 10 boys and I have 9 girls, so 19 altogether, which is pretty good size for a cross country team. So my boys will come through, and my first boy will come in 5:30, 5:50 first mile.
Wow.
It's pretty quick.
That is fast.
My 7th boy may not come in until 6:30, 6:50 mile. You say, well, it's only a minute. Yes, but that takes me, I have to make up that minute, my personal time, to get to the mile marker too, to be able to mark the time for the first kid coming through on mile 2. So sometimes I got to do it from a distance. Like if we're having a bad day and we're running 10 kids, not just 7. And so sometimes Carrie and I will split up, and she'll go to mile marker 2 and mile marker 1, but we try to do it together to the best of our ability, and we do that both for girls and boys. And that way, at the end of the season, we give them a piece of paper and say, okay, your average mile for, say, our best runner is 5:50. Your second one was a 6. Your third one was a 6:20. So we got to work on that across the season, try to get you around 6 all around. So there's a math, believe it or not, my teacher used to say, you use math all the time. No, I won't, right? That's the famous thing. I'm using math all the time. So especially with cross country. So you're just breaking down time. I mean, we try to break it down in quarters. Okay, so let's get on the high school track. 1 lap is 0.25 of a mile. Your goal is 1 minute. If you can do this 4 times, you do a 4-minute mile. Now, we don't have a kid doing a 4-minute mile, but I do have a kid that will come in at 5 minutes if they can think about, break it down into the smallest increments.
Sure.
Now, can they maintain that for 3.1 miles? No, but it tells them this is what I'm capable of doing. Let's make every mile the best we can.
Sure. Well, and I hate to switch things up. I know you're more focused about sectionals today, but one name that you just said a little bit ago was Cadence Qualls, and I know she's on the basketball team, and we've already announced it it's already been a month or so ago already. You've been hired as the newest addition as the head girls basketball coach. I got to ask you, what's that make you feel like?
Man, I'm honored. When I told my wife and I discussed this because it's a lot of time. Yeah. And I was like, hey, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be a lot of things. And so we discussed it and just kind of worked out great for our family. And so I said, I got a 0% chance because I knew there were some quality names in the hat. Now, I didn't know who they were going to interview. I didn't know any of that stuff. I got the interview. There were a couple other people got the interview. And I just went from 0 to maybe, I think there were 3 of us that interviewed. So now, about 33% chance here. There were some things that I thought I had obstacles with in the essence of I never done varsity head coaching job. And I knew that was going to play into the factor. I knew that I not coached girls. I've been on the boys side of things. That was going to play in a factor. I'm not a teacher. I had all these things, and then I end up getting a job, and I'm just like, I want to do the best I can. I want to take these girls and build upon the program that's been built there.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun to cover girls basketball here at Knox last year. We're very much looking forward to covering them again this year. Like you said, it's nothing ever is going to be easy, but nothing ever worth doing is. So good for you, Coach. Congratulations. I'll just say that.
Appreciate that.
But good luck today in the sectionals. And means a lot for you coming in. I appreciate you talking to us about this cross-country team. And won't be the last time we talk with you. We're going to be talking here very shortly. You're starting your basketball season, beginning of November.
Yes.
So depending how your runners do here in the postseason, you might be back one cross-country practice right to basketball the next day.
Absolutely. That's the way it goes. And believe this or not, we're 1 week from Tuesday is our scrimmage.
Oh my gosh!
So 2 weeks from Thursday,
you got to figure it out.
Yeah, we got to get it figured out pretty darn quick. So, and we got fall break, so we're dealing with who's here and who's not here. That happens. So, hey, but that's basketball. That's how the season goes, and you go with what you're given, and we make the best of it.
Well, we look forward to talking with head coach James Adcock of the cross country and the girls basketball team here at Knox Community High School. More to come, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks, sir.
All right, that's head coach James Adcock of the Knox Community High School cross country team here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. Don't go anywhere. More sports talk coming your way. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
This presentation of our area's local high school sports is sponsored by Pulaski Memorial Hospital in Winamac. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is dedicated to providing excellent health care to improve the health and quality of life for the people and the community they serve. They will meet the community's needs and exceed their expectations by creating the best possible health care experience. For more information of the services they provide, call 946-2100.
You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
We are back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. We are talking the Culver Cavaliers. Tough loss last night at LaVille on the road. Of course, we saw the Lancers just a week ago against the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. The Lancers, they're pretty good this year.
Yes, they are.
And they face the Culver Cavaliers. The Cavs have had a tough season, a young team. We've talked about it all year long. We have head coach Austin Foust on the line. We appreciate his time. Good morning, Coach. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good morning, Mitch. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I hear a whistle in the background. You watching some sports? What you watching?
Yeah, we got a little middle school football right here. I'm currently filming. So
you got a score update for us?
0-0. Right at the end of the first quarter.
All right. Who's Culver playing?
We got the Lancers.
Oh, back to back.
Yep, back to back. We got the last game of the season here for the Cavs. So
multitasking. Did you say you're filming the junior high game? And doing an interview?
And doing an interview. I'm going to try my best not to screw up either. So
this reminds me of last year when Marc Hendricks was coaching first base.
Yeah,
and
at a baseball
answered
game.
the call. Remember, I called. We actually dialed him on the line.
Right.
Well, Coach, let's talk about last night a little bit. I know it was a tough one against LaVille, but what did you see from the Cavs that going forward they're going to pay attention to better?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we came out and actually played pretty well. When you got a team that's 0-8 and playing downpour against a really good football team and a team that I think LaVille thought they were the best team in the conference and played Knox really, really tough. So I was a little worried how we were going to come out, and we actually came out really well. Did some really nice things offensively. I thought Jonas McKeon, our quarterback, probably played his best game so far for us, and our receivers started to make plays for him and made some catches and moved the ball around. We just couldn't put it in. And then we came out and got a couple stops defensively, and it was 8-0 going into the second quarter, and we were without Ethan Binion and Tony Summers defensively, so that kind of hurt us a little bit. Down a couple starters, and we tried to sub some kids out and get some kids a little rest, and they kind of took it down and scored on us, and then put another one in with a 2-minute drill right before the half, and it was one of those where kind of Coach Kling looked at me and goes, well, that's the product of having a 4-year starting quarterback in Plummer. Made some really nice plays and some just throws where we had guys there, but he just put the ball exactly where it needed to be. So, it had the potential to be a 12-0 game halftime, 24-0 instead of a 30-0. So, we felt kind of good where we were, for what we had and who we had. So I think our kids see that and know that, we got a great opportunity this week.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about this week, you've played 9 games now to get yourself ready for this week. You travel to South Central again for the second time this year. And you guys, week 2, that first half, it was back and forth, and you guys led for a little bit. It was a back and forth battle there. I think they just finally, in the second half, physically wore you down, and you had some costly injuries there in the second half of that first game. So, your kids have got to feel pretty confident going into this game, even with everything that has transpired this season. So talk about what do you think is going to be different going into Friday night against South Central?
Yeah, obviously, week 2 is probably, if you look at it, probably our most competitive football game all year. Like you said, back and forth in the first half, and we kind of, I think that was a game we kind of really saw what we had in Jack Rogers. It was only the second game with us, and I think what was he, like 6 carries for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half. And
didn't even play the second half.
Yeah, didn't even play the second half. Unfortunately, went out with cramps. So. And I think our kids know that we were a different team, and we didn't have Brady Kennedy in the second half either. And obviously we got some guys that are out. Theron Carrington and Drake Zorich. I mean, they're done for the year. That played week 2, but I think we've developed some kids that became serviceable for us up front, D line especially, that are starting to give us things as young freshmen as they're moving on in the season. And I think we got some good things that we could do. That we're excited for this Friday. I think our kids are, judging by, the talk on the bus and in the locker room, I think our kids are excited for this. Obviously, we got fall break, so that's something we got to manage. But, I think our seniors want to keep playing, so that's the most important thing. Obviously, when you come into week 10 and, you're 0-9, you wonder if your team wants to keep going, and I feel like we do.
Coach, you saw the South Central Satellites in week 2. We were there for that game. It was a really good matchup. It really was a good game. Things have changed, though, since the week 2. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 7 weeks ago already. It'll be 8 by the time you see South Central on Friday. You have to travel to Union Mills for the second time this season. What's the message to your boys this week?
Yeah, the message is obviously keep building off of what we've done. We felt like we played a good quarter against Pioneer, and the second quarter kind of got away from us. I think with the weather circumstances and other things like that, I think we put together, a pretty good first half against Laville. It's just going to be building off that, continuing getting better in practice, making sure, we're doing the things that we need to do to keep playing better, just finding that consistency. Like I've kind of talked all year long, we can do it, and then we kind of dip down and give up one and then kind of come back up and do it again. So we just got to have that consistency, all week. And, again, obviously the message is pretty easy, to the guys. It's either, now or never. There is no guaranteed after this Friday. And, I'm not ready to end this season. I think our guys are not. So, we're going to put together the best game plan we can. And, I think our kids are going to give everything they have and see where we fall at the end of the game.
Coach, it's been an honor to talk to you throughout this entire regular season. I'm excited to see what you guys do here this coming week. Good luck against South Central, and plan on talking to you next Saturday.
All right, thanks, guys. We appreciate everything you guys do.
Hey, absolutely. Appreciate what you do too, Coach, as that's head coach Austin Foust of the Culver Cavaliers here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. It's time to talk South Central football with head coach Buzz Schoff. He's in the lobby waiting. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to KVB's WKVI Sports.
Here we go. Marlat set to go. The flex bone takes the snap. Hands off. No, pulls it himself. Now he's right around the corner. He does. Stiff arm. Now breaks the tackle. Breaks another. Spins around to the 40. Now to the 35. On the far side of the field. And he's tackled at the 33.
Yeah, a little shifty there.
Wow.
Single parenthood, there I stood. By the time she was 21, had another one.
Since 1936, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning have always taken pride in doing the job right. Third-generation owner Brian Hammond and his family have always set the standard when it comes to taking care of all your heating and cooling needs. Making your home a comfortable home is the absolute top priority. If you are uncomfortable in your home, give them a call at 574-936-4660. Follow them on Facebook. Let Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning help you take control of your comfort.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere. Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox. Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989. Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. Forgot to mention this in the opening hour of the Saturday Sports Line. A lot of other area sports teams are in action today. Of course, sectionals are in full swing for all of our area cross-country teams. We wish all of them good luck. We talked with head coach of the Knox Redskins cross-country team, James Adcock, just a few moments ago. We also see the Knox Lady Redskins volleyball team facing Culver Academy. Sorry, I was like having a brain fart there. And then also the South Central Satellites volleyball team and the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays face off today for the second round of Sectional 34. Just a lot of action going on. It's hard to keep up with everybody, really.
Tri-Township volleyball team in the sectional semifinals at Washington Township. They'll take on Morgan Township at 12:30, I believe.
And then the Winamac Lady Warriors face the Pioneer Panthers at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's here in about 27 minutes. So all of our area schools are in action today on the cross-country field, and then several teams on the volleyball court. So I just wanted to mention that. Good luck to all of our area schools. We wish you good luck as we're talking South Central football with head coach Buzz Schoff. Made the drive to Whiting last night. We were a little worried if you were going to make it in this morning. But here you are, thank God. Tough loss last night. I know it's just been a tough way to end the season with the injuries. We've talked about it the last couple of weeks. We heard about Aaron Hogan going down last week due to concussion protocol. And then also Zach Hanshar, just huge hits. But you've had other guys you've been able to plug in the last couple of weeks. You've seen what they're able to do. Now here we are on the cusp of round one. Everyone's 0-0 now of sectionals. What have you seen from your satellites throughout the season, and it maybe in particular last night that you're proud of?
Well, I mean, our kids are gonna battle no matter what the circumstance is. You look at that game last night, and we go up 8-0. We fumble a kickoff. And put them back in the game. It goes 8-8. We throw a pick. It goes 16-8. And then we sat at 16-8 for most of the second quarter and most of the third quarter. With 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, we're down at the 2. And that's when it starts raining on us. We fumble the snap. We end up kicking around the field on fourth and goal from the 2. And we fall on it, and they get the ball first down at the 30. Well, how do we go from second and goal at the 2 to them first down on the 30?
Right.
That's just everything falling apart. And it was 16-8 at that point. So we punched that in. We probably worst case scenario 16-14. Totally different football game. But when you're playing without your starting quarterback and without your tailback, and then something like that happens, it's a complete mind-boggling thing that good teams will overcome that, but we just weren't able to, and then the wheels fell off, and now all of a sudden we're chasing 22-8. Oh, now it's 38. And it's like, okay, we just got to relax, all right? And at some point you just start playing for pride at that point.
Right.
At 16-8 on the 2, you're playing to win a football game. At 30-8 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter,
in a monsoon.
Now you're playing for pride and see just how bad do you want to play. Our kids played tough last night. They really did. I mean, when you look at who we have, a team of 33 guys, and your starting quarterback's not playing, and your starting running back's not playing, and you're still in a football game with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. You're playing good football. You're doing what the expectation is.
You're fighting.
And the problem was, as long as it was 16-8, we could do exactly what we wanted to do. But as soon as it starts getting 24-8, 30-8,
2 scores.
Now you're putting a kid who's doing the best he can at quarterback, but we can't do what you need to do in those situations. He's not going to be able to drop back. He's not going to be able to just throw the ball down the field, read the defense, find the open guy. You just can't do that. And at some point, you have to be able to do that.
Right.
And we just weren't able to do it. Especially, TC works his butt off and he does the best what he has. But and the way it was raining last night, I don't know if Zach's able to do it.
Right.
It's just one of those situations
really
where
bad.
Everything is stacked against you right now, and it's just like, okay, just keep doing what you do and get out of this thing because
let's get out of this healthy and get back on the bus and get dry.
Right, because the goal is to win. The goal is to win this week.
Right.
Last night really had no bearing on anything other than you get to play a football game,
right,
which you love and you want to always do your best. But this week matters.
Well, yeah, I mean, it got you the kids that needed to step up and that replaced Zach and replaced Aaron. Got them some valuable in-game experience that you're going to have to lean on this Friday against Culver.
Exactly.
And you saw Culver in week 2. We were there for that one. A big win for you guys, 44-22. Like you just said, though, things have changed a little bit since then. What do you expect to see from the Cavs, and what do you hope to see from your guys?
Well, I was running that through my mind last night on the hour and 20-minute bus ride that I had home.
Not that it was timed or anything.
Who's counting?
Soaking wet.
But you look at Culver, and you see an 0-9 Culver team, and you see a 3-6 South Central team, and you look at kind of their scores, and you look at our scores, and maybe you kind of look at it and say, and you look at week 2 score, and you think, okay, well, you should be okay this week. You should be all right. But, I mean, that was week 2. This is week 10. Everybody's a different team. We're definitely a different team. They're a different team. And you have 2 teams who went through the whole season now, and now they're just chomping at the bit to get back in the winning column. We need a win. They need a win. It's just good for it's good for your kids to get a win. It's good for your community to get a win. When football's struggling, the whole town feels different.
Right.
But it's South Central Culver, so
that's a little that's another added intriguing thing to the matchup.
It doesn't postseason. Records are irrelevant anyway, but records are irrelevant no matter what time of the season South Central and Culver are going to play each other. You're going to have a dogfight, and neither team is willing to lose that game no matter what the circumstances are. They want to beat us just because we are South Central. We want to beat them because they are Culver, regardless of what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it could be a pickup game at the park.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how important this game is to you guys.
I mean, our football team, and I, maybe it's my fault, but like if our softball team's playing Culver, if our baseball team's playing Culver, if our basketball team's playing Culver, they're in it all the way. And that rivalry doesn't really go anywhere other than football. Like that's where it kind of sits and stays. But our football team they thrive at playing Culver, and they refuse to lose to Culver, and we have obviously, but.
Side note, it did trickle into the basketball team last year. South Central, we were at that game. South Central came all the way back and tied it up with 30 seconds to go. I think they were down by like 20 points in Culver last year. South Central took it to overtime and ended up winning that game. I'll never forget that. But you're right. There's something about South Central and Culver when they seem to meet up. It's a serious game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it happens. I mean, maybe it's just similarity of kid, similarity of just mentality, school, corporation type things, whatever it is. But it just seems like you're fighting your twin brother for some reason.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, I mean, seems like you guys play each other twice a year now for the last 10 years.
It's
you guys are always regular season, and then for some reason you always get them in the postseason. So I think that, and the fact that it's gone back and forth and it's always been a close game, I think has built that rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the rivalry first started obviously when I became a head coach and Zahner was the coach over there, and it was a clash of styles.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it started.
You're going to spread the field, and they were football in a phone booth.
I mean, that's how it started. You know what I mean? You got two just completely different styles, and you still knew that, like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to come down to one possession.
So that's kind of how it started, and it just kind of built from there. And it's a fun rivalry. It's a mutually respected rivalry. Like, we don't hate them. We don't do anything cheap. We don't try to hurt anybody.
Right.
It's all within the rules of the game, but it's still just, I mean, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, no matter what is going on.
Yeah, records out the window, and it's out the window because it's sectionals too. So it's just everything's built up for this matchup with Culver, of course, for you guys. talk about a little bit of what you want to see from your boys this coming Friday night. You know, who's taking the snaps at QB again?
His name's Tyler Carr.
Tyler Carr and TC, that's right.
TC.
And we talked about this on the air last night. Chris had brought it up, and I forgot you said this last Saturday. What was the bet about?
Yeah, how the tie situation.
What's the bet on that again?
Do you care to get into this?
Well, so we
don't have to.
we had Culver back. Oh, what was that? That was 2019, 2020, something like that. Shane Schumann was on the team, but that was for the last 12 years, so that doesn't narrow it down. But
it doesn't narrow it down.
we drew them sectional week one of the sectional, and they had beaten us week 2 that year 52-30, I think, something like that. But it was just another one of those games where they couldn't. I mean, 52-30. You think, okay, this is. But, like, there's 2 minutes to go in the game, and Zahner's still, coaching on the sideline. I mean, my goal is to have every coach have that mentality. Like, right. You can't quit yet.
Right.
But so the bet was if we beat Culver. I think it was my wife scheduled family pictures the week 2 of sectional, and I said, I'm going to be coaching a football game, and she said, don't you play Culver?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but we're gonna win that game, and I'll be coaching another game that following week, and we ended up losing that game. That was the game that came down to, I think it was 16, maybe 14-8. 14-8, I think, was the final score of that. So it was 52-30 week 2, and then it's 14-8 sectional week 1. So obviously that fuels the fire, right? Of what we were just talking about. But the deal was that if we lost that game, which we ended up losing, that I would wear a tie. Every time I coached a football game. Well, I've been wearing a tie, which seems like forever right now. And if we beat Culver in the postseason game, it has to be a postseason game. That's a little side, fine print at the bottom of the contract. If we beat Culver in a sectional game, then I no longer have to wear the tie.
Interesting.
Now, the tie doesn't bother me.
You like it?
And I like wearing the tie, except for
August.
Week 1 and week 2. It's a miserable time.
A little hot.
Then, but like last night, I had a tie on. I had hey, great. A collar, a tight collar around you, so the water wasn't getting in.
Yep.
Sometimes there's a benefit, but I would like to win just so I have the option not to.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a text from Athletic Director John Haggard last night. Of course, he was sending me score updates. And I want to say I waited at least 25, 30 minutes, or maybe it wasn't that long. I might be exaggerating. But I texted him at the end of our game, and I said, any update? And he said, no, we're still in halftime. I guess he said they added on more time at halftime for some senior night of some sort.
Oh, yes.
That had to have been just grueling to go through.
Well, it's 16-8. It's a 16-8 football game.
Right.
In my mind, I'm thinking, how is their head coach okay with what's going on right now?
Right.
A 16-8 game, and
we want to get. They want to get on the field and get going again.
Like, don't you got to get in the locker room and get some adjustments done? I mean, that's just me.
Right.
But unless you obviously they didn't need to, but that was because we didn't make them. But
right, sure.
They had their senior night, so I mean, and they do the senior night just like most small schools do, where it's the football team, it's the track or the cross country team, the band,
golf,
everybody. So you got and Whiting's a little bigger, so there's 30 kids out there walking, and they do. So they said, well, we're going to have a 20-minute halftime. I said, oh, okay. That's fine. I've never heard of a 20-minute halftime for a senior night. I mean, you usually get those done before the game, but we're standing there and 20 minutes to go, or 20 minutes on the clock, and the football team's all standing out there. The coaches are doing kind of some little adjustments just in the end zone while they're watching senior night, and then they get down to 10 minutes and they just stop the clock.
Jeez.
So I went in talked to our kids again for the second time with 12 minutes to go, and I talked a little bit. I said, you probably got about 8 minutes, so just relax. We're going to go back out there with 3 minutes to go on the clock, what we always do, so just relax. You got 5 more minutes. And I walk out, and the clock just is stopped at 10. And I thought, what is going on? So it stayed at 10 minutes for another 4, and it was like, we just had a half-hour halftime of week 9.
Maybe it was 30 minutes. I thought it felt like, I was like, really? And then I got the final from him not much longer. It seemed like the second half just must have blew by.
Yeah. I mean, when it starts monsooning, your pass game just kind of goes out the window.
Sure. So everybody's just running the ball.
you just got. It wasn't a running clock by rule, but the clock really never stopped.
Right.
Well, Coach, you're going up against a rival in the Culver Cavs this coming Friday. Looking forward to hearing what the results are from that game. We wish you luck, and hopefully you take care of business for the Satellites. I know it's been a tough end of the year, but you have something good to talk about, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime South Central and Culver get together, it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah.
So
at least you're hosting.
It'll be fun. Yeah, you always
last year it was on the road.
You always want to play it. I would have preferred when we look at it. I would have preferred to go to Culver and then have Triton come to us. But if we do beat Culver, then we have to go to Triton.
Right.
But
right.
So those situations. But you're playing Culver, and you can't not get excited about that. And they got to come over to your place for the second time in a row this season. So, it should be fun, and we're excited about it.
Well, we'll talk to you next week, Coach.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
That's head coach Buzz Schoff of the South Central Satellites here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break and come back. It's time for the Where Are They Now segment with Harold Welter. You know him well. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Take up some space.
So here we go. 3rd and goal. Marlatt takes the snap, keeps himself fighting his way forward, breaks a tackle.
There he is.
And he gets in. Touchdown, Connor Marlatt. The West Central Trojans are back in business, baby.
No mistake. I think you should stay.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of local high school sports coverage on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out where are they now?
Well, with the Knox Redskins just completing their first ever undefeated regular season in football, I thought it would be fun to go back and give you an interview that we did 4 years ago with Terry Bolen, who was one of the more successful Knox High School football players. He was a 1990 graduate of Knox High School, and we did this interview about 4 years ago, just as this Knox football program was beginning to turn around. Well, you certainly had a lot of success playing football and sports at Knox High School back in the day. I think back to that senior year, and I think that was the last year until this previous season that Knox had beaten Jimtown, right?
Yeah, it was quite a bit of span of years in between her, but I do believe that last time was my senior year.
Well, you had a lot of success, and going back in your high school career, what is the most memorable game you ever played in?
Well, of course, the one that we just mentioned definitely pops into my mind, and that's Jimtown. It was at the old, what we would call the old middle school field now that is no longer, but beating them finally my senior year, that was definitely an achievement that a lot of people probably didn't think we were going to be able to achieve.
Now, you played other sports too, though, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I wrestled my junior and senior year under Jerry Horban, that was also our football coach. Then I threw shot and disc on track and field also.
As you look back, because you had some really good athletes that you played with back then, who are some of those guys that you remember and maybe even still have contact with?
Well, names that you would hear. It's an interesting season for those of us that are roughly my age. Danny Patrick, of course, his son just graduated last year, Dawson Patrick. We could go on and on about that young man's success on the gridiron. And then Davey Wagner was another one of our running backs, and of course he has his son. He's in the backfield. He's making some great plays. We were blessed. Oh my goodness, we had all 5 seniors up front, offensive line. Scott Schlischer, I believe he's a Hall of Famer also. He was my quarterback and strong safety. Scott is over in Ohio, and we do stay in a little bit of communication, definitely through his dad that helped coach that team also. And I would have to mention again Jerry Horban. I believe he's a Hall of Fame coach here at Knox, and he installed just great work ethics.
I was going to ask, what made him so effective as a coach?
He drilled us almost militarily into that we weren't going to beat ourselves. We weren't always the fastest back then, but we were pretty physical, and we had a lot of seniors. But in that sport, in football, you of course know that even more so than in other sports, a lot of times it is very important to have a lot of seniors playing. There seems to be a lot of difference sometimes between an 18-year-old, obviously, and a 15-year-old young man.
Yeah.
But the numbers, Jerry Horban kept us out. Tough nose. He didn't laugh a lot, especially during practice. Very hard-nosed coach. But that's the type of football that we played. It wasn't real flashy, and we didn't have a whole lot of speed, but we were very, very physical.
Well, you went on and played at the next level at Butler University for 4 years. How did that all come about? That wasn't the normal for Knox football players.
No, I had a really good senior year, and there were some small schools showing some interest in maybe what I could do. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for a major, but Butler and Purdue, at the time anyhow, was the 2 schools in Indiana that had a full pharmacy program. So that's what I started in down there, pharmacy down at Butler. And then they, of course, threw in some football money, and my eyes got really wide and big, and so that made my choice pretty easy.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make from Knox high school football to Butler University football?
Speed. I didn't know that guys that size could move so fast. And I went down there and competed very well. You know, they like to test you pretty much the first thing when you show up, and I tested very well. And all of a sudden, they didn't care about my accomplishments at Knox, and they didn't care about my accomplishments on the wrestling mat or even in the track and field. So, yes, your game had to get faster. You had to get better. And I had to get better. That was plain and simple.
Growing up and playing at Knox, who are some of the people who were maybe role models for you or who helped you be so successful in athletics?
Well, oh my goodness. I mentioned him earlier, my best friend, Scott Schlischer. He graduated being our valedictorian. Good people to hang out with, and he had a great work ethic. You weren't going to outwork Scott. I started protecting him being my quarterback. We developed a friendship, and then he also helped me on the wrestling mat. Again, his intelligence and his work ethic. We would stay afterwards. We would stay after practice, and he would show me some of the things. And a lot of times there's only one coach, and back then, as good as Coach Horban was, he can't deal with 16, 17 guys after practice.
Right.
But Scott Schlischer, again, he was my best friend in high school. Jerry Horban, he gave so much of his time back then for free just to have the weight room open. He was starting his family. Some of the guys and I, we reminisce about how he had 4 daughters. Young daughters, and they would be over there taking turns crying, and Coach would be trying to spot us in between sets so that we could get better and compete even at a higher level. Again, I think of Mr. Gene Skirvin. Last I know, he was still coaching over at Plymouth.
Right.
He was our defensive coordinator. I do believe he came through the Jimtown ranks, and so he knew about hard-nosed football. And Mr. Skirvin, Coach Skirvin, was our defensive coordinator, and he was definitely going to make it intense. Those are just a couple of the names, and then just the guys around you that out of our team. Again, I've mentioned some of them that just went so hard in practice that you didn't want to be the guy to let your teammates down. I go back to Danny Patrick, Davey Wagner. Oh my goodness, Doug Parker. Doug's still local. He's a police officer right now, state police officer. These are guys that are local. Bill Doolin, our own sheriff. Bill was one of the few younger guys that got reps in with us because he was a hard-nosed young man.
Yeah.
And Bill knew how to go hard. But those are some of the names that I stick out with, and people that we still obviously stay in contact with because they're still local people.
This was a conversation we had with Terry Bolen, one of the most successful football players ever to come out of Knox High School. And we did this interview about 4 years ago, just as the Knox football program was really beginning to turn around and advance to the point this year that they had the undefeated season. And we'll continue our conversation with Terry Bolen after this timeout.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest on our Where Are They Now segment is Terry Bolen, a 1990 graduate of Knox High School, a guy who had a lot of success in sports in high school, went on to play college football at Butler University. And going back, Terry, what did you gain from being a high school athlete that has helped you be so successful?
Man, you could go on and on about this, but that hard work pays off. And even though you may not always achieve the goals that you had set out for yourself, the old cliche, if you reach for the stars and you miss, you'll land on the moon, I believe is how that goes. And that's what sports teaches you. It teaches you that the harder you go, the more rewarded you're going to be. And even sometimes that reward doesn't always come as a win. You learn things about yourself even through the losses. And some of the losses are hard to deal with, especially when you're a very competitive person. But you have to learn how to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, if you will, and continue with the next challenge, the next game, the next competitor. That's what I think it taught me so much about life, whether if it's your job or relationships that you have. You don't win everything. You don't get to, it's not every day is a win. With your job, with your family, with health of loved ones, not every day is a win. But what are you going to do about it? You got to get back to work. You just got to pick up and you got to get back to work. That's what I think sports has been able to install in me at a young age.
And you're still coaching at the lower levels.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, have your own kids who are athletes. What kind of advice do you give those young people who would aspire to have the kind of success you had in sports?
I listen to this all the time, and I'm sure it's been said all the time, but go hard. Set goals for yourself and don't accept anything less. If you didn't achieve those goals as a sophomore, well, you better work harder because that's your only choice. And that's what I've sort of said to my kids. If it's at one drill or if it's one possession or one time in that practice that you might get a touch of ball or that the coach's eyes come to you, be doing the right thing. Be going hard. You might only have a player or two during a whole game that can make a difference. So you need to be ready when that opportunity gives itself, and you have to go hard in practice and be a little bit better at something, be a little bit better than you were yesterday.
The success of Knox football over the past several years, and you being a part of that on the lower levels, got to be mighty special for you.
I enjoy watching these fellas grow up. I enjoy watching them Friday night. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Our guest here on Where Are They Now has been Terry Bolen, a 1990 graduate of Knox High School. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
Time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died in an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. His legacy of hard work, outstanding citizenship, artistic success, and super athletic performance lives on with this award, given every week to outstanding student athletes from the 8 schools in the Kankakee Valley. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Myles McLaughlin, a member of the football team at Knox Community High School. Man, Myles is having an amazing season for the Redskins. As a sophomore, Myles broke the all-time rushing record at Knox in Week 8 of the Indiana high school football season by surpassing his father, Josh McLaughlin, who previously held the record at 2,752 yards rushed. As of Thursday, Myles was at 2,806 yards rushed in his 2 years at Knox, with 2 years to go. Myles is the son of Josh and Suzanne McLaughlin, as we congratulate Myles McLaughlin of Knox Community High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Myles will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating his achievement, and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. He will be eligible for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Year award later this spring, which carries with it a plaque and a college scholarship, compliments of WKVI and the family of Tyler Roth. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac. I'll make sure to get with Mr. McLaughlin this week, as that is going to wrap things up for us. Another Saturday Sports Line down. We're so glad you join us each week. I always remind you to follow us on all of our social media sites, on Instagram at WKVI Sports, on X, formerly Twitter, at KVB Sports, and on Facebook at Sports to the Max for all Kankakee Valley Broadcasting sports content 24/7. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to do the same. Until Monday, you take care. I'm Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, you've been listening to the Saturday Sports Line with Sports Director Mitch Columbi and Sports Analyst Chris McGowan.